Government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Father, before I begin, bless me, Father, for I'm about to sin.
America. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America. One nation, indivisible, under God, for real.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Senators here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa.
Of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. The idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here? For two reasons. One, you won't be safe in Joe Biden's America. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Let's be clear. I hear it all the time. Cumulative, I can play for the programs many times over.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. That old decrepit fool. Jason J, you're correct. You're correct. He's going to be in Alaska as opposed to commemorating anything else that has anything to do with 9/11. I don't see anything good coming out of him anyway. He'd just gaff his way through the night. So what's the point? What's the point? Why would he even need to even be there? He's just going to ruin it. And I think they know that. I'm pretty sure that's the case, why he won't be there. We're going to actually cover some of that as well as we move through this night. I do have quite a few articles up for the night. I do have it marked as end of Rumble exclusive. That being said, hopefully it doesn't take too long to get through all this and that. I'd rather it not take that long. If it does take too long and I don't make it to the Rumble exclusive, I'll just change the title. I'll remove the plus on there or the and Rumble exclusive if that just happens to be. We'll see if we can make it. Hello, everybody. Let's say hi real quick. What's up, Charlemagne? How you doing? Levy, good to see you. Good to see you if you're still here. Jason J, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. I do news and politics every night. Come back in the mornings and I do whatever this is and do an open mic / just talk conversation with chat. I do multiple other conversations with random people as well. Those usually happen Saturday nights. I'm excited because this coming Saturday night will be Eric Hunley. To have somebody like that come around is going to be exciting for me. Vicky T, what's up, dude? Good to see you. And Jacob Castro, awesome. Glad you're here. We're gonna see what we can do and produce as much noise here tonight as we can, and push through this. We're gonna push through this as quick as I can because I do want to try making it to the Rumble, and I don't want to be up all night. Everybody over on that Rumble side, hit that thumbs up button for me. Share that out, and of course, join the channel. If anybody wants to, please donate to the channel so I can keep continuing to do what I do. It's very, very much appreciated. Let's move on. Let's do this. Inside China's global military expansion. There isn't just a bunch of little bubbles on the screen like you might just see. You can see close enough. 133 million for Cuba, 441 million for Venezuela, 659 million for Guyana, 1.1 billion for Angola, 894 million for Israel. Cameroon's getting 1.3 billion. Pakistan's got 577 million. Sri Lanka's got 430 million. Vanuatu 97 million. Just a couple places around the world that their infrastructure plan is really taken care of. They're continuously dumping money into multiple areas of the world. As we sit here and throw money at Ukraine, because it makes total sense. It's grossly disgusting, but all right, It says for 2 decades, China's communist regime has poured tens of billions of dollars into low and middle income nations, funding massive port projects in the name of global development. However, experts and lawmakers are warning that the Chinese Communist Party (CCP), which rules China as a single-party state, seeks to expand its global military presence by creating new overseas naval bases out of the commercial ports and funded and built abroad. What? Mike Hunt, what's up, dude? For $4.99. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I hope you never go Joe Biden. What, incoherent, senile? According to the new report by Aid, a think tank that analyzes government and expenditures on international development projects, the regime has spent nearly $30 billion in overseas port infrastructure since 2001. For those in Congress who have tasked with countering the threat from a newly expansionist CCP, the regime's pursuit of new basing opportunities is an alarming development that requires immediate action. Representative Mike Gallagher, Republican out of Wisconsin, who chairs the House Select Committee on the CCP, believes that the only means of countering such an expansion is through increased military and diplomatic investments by the United States. Such investments in the partner nations, we hope, will counter the creeping influence of the CCP. The Chinese Communist Party's expansion of its overseas naval presence is a blaring alarm as we keep hitting snooze. To counter the CCP's malign influence and military aggression, the United States needs to both boost its own military industrial capacity and be more present in the Indo-Pacific, expanding development and diplomacy with key partners to ensure that they don't succumb to debt trap diplomacy. It sounds ridiculous when it comes down to it, but at the same time, this is pretty much what the Chinese Communist Party is going to continue to push. Is just that they're gonna try pushing to make them unwealthy and make them seek aid from other countries. There's been multiple countries. We've watched BRICS, explode. We're going to see more and more countries join BRICS here within the next few months, and into the future. They're going to be one of the largest conglomerates ever, and it's all Chinese Communist Party. He hasn't sent me any receipts either. He hasn't sent me any receipts either, so I just don't think he has any. Cameroon is okay by me. First Lady's got some style. A for effort. Really? What's up, Suzanne? Good to see you, dear. Chinese seeks global military expansion. Harboring global ambitions, analyzes more than 20 years of official investments in China's state-owned entities into overseas seaport projects that might form the groundwork of the new naval base. From 2000 to 2023, Beijing spent a staggering $29.9 billion through loans and grants from 123 different projects at 78 ports in 46 low and middle income nations, according to the report. Each of the projects have funded directly by Beijing or state-owned companies. This means that the report doesn't even begin to look at the potential spending of shadow corporations without official ties to the regime, nor does it account for the regime's policy of military civil fusion, which demands that all private Chinese entities create a military advantage for the CCP. All private Chinese entities create a military advantage for the CCP. So all the money that they're pumping in around the world to all these different places for quote unquote infrastructure is all for them. It's all for them so that they can continue to boast and become the largest military on the face of the planet. I'm hurting back a crap tonight, Frogman. So I'll be part of the rewatch crew. Have a great stream. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Take care of yourself. Get some rest. Paul Crespo, president and Center of American Defense Studies think tank, believes that the monumental effort is partly driven by the regime's desire to hold the United States at threat anywhere in the world. China is rapidly creating a large offensive blue water navy capable of challenging the United States far beyond the Western Pacific, especially during the war over Taiwan. The war over Taiwan? Is there really a war over Taiwan? Are they already calling it a war over Taiwan? I thought there was no such thing. I thought that we shouldn't be afraid of China taking over Taiwan anytime soon. Oh, okay. That makes sense. In addition to allowing threatening the supply lines, China has long wanted to make the United States feel the way it feels with a foreign superpowered navy on its doorstep. The CCP currently only acknowledges one overseas military base in Djibouti in the Horn of Africa. Chinese officials have long acknowledged a more global ambition for their military, however, and suggested that similar bases would be in the works. You think that global domination is their end game? They're communists. That's what they want. That's what they're going to go for. That's what they're going to aim for. For their future is to be the most dominant in the globe. They want to take over as much as they want and can. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said in 2016 that China is amenable to working with partner nations and develop similar facilities to that in Djibouti. Likewise, in 2020 edition of Science and Military Strategy, published by China's National Defense University, suggested that the new network of long-range naval facilities was necessary to extend China's reach. To improve the naval force's ocean-going support capabilities, in addition to the development of large-scale accompanying support ships, we must also attach importance to the construction of long-distance maritime comprehensive replenishment points and multi-channels to ensure that naval forces carry out overseas military operations in the ocean. Mr. Crespo, who previously served in the naval attaché of the Defense Intelligence Agency, said that such a network of bases would be a prerequisite for the long-term sustainment of China's increasingly global military presence. To challenge the U.S. Navy globally, China needs bases for rearming, refueling, resupplying, and to repair its rapidly expanding fleet. Similarly, the aid data report places the regime's many overseas investments within the broader context of a tug of war with global influence with the United States. It, but Joe Biden told us straight out that they're not our enemies. They're not our enemies. There's nothing that we should worry about, and we should never have to worry about. In contrast to Mr. Gallagher's ironclad commitment to counter might with might anywhere in the world, the report suggests that such an approach may only worsen global tension. The United States and allies must be vigilant and allocate resources wisely, fostering alliances and partnerships with the countries considering moving forward toward China. But Western coalitions should not overreact to the news or rumors of China establishing a base here or there. We shouldn't overreact that they're sitting over in Cuba. We shouldn't overreact at all. Don't even look at it. Don't pay attention to it. It's okay. Let them do what they want to do. As we continue to go ahead and support Taiwan so that China doesn't attack them without having at least something to fight back with. Headlong rush by the Western country or alliance to establish new bases overseas as a means of counterbalancing might provide exactly the justification or cover China needs to cite a naval base of its own. Whatever approach the United States takes, it remains the open question just where exactly the next CCP base will spring up. By comparing total investments in individual port projects and weighing the strategic value of geographic locations, the strength of CCP's relations with the local elites, regional political stability, and nations' voting alignment with China in the world stage, the aid data report suggests a few countries as top contenders for new Chinese military infrastructure. The choices stretch from Indo-Pacific to the Atlantic, with each region offering distinct advantages and disadvantages. Indo-Pacific base, most likely? Of course they would. Why wouldn't they? They've actually been getting along with India. They've been getting along with India, so that they should be able to place about anything they want in and around all of that area without debate. Without debate. Perhaps the most logical place for the new military base, the CCP seeks to break out the first island chain, thereby securing its commercial and military vessels free reign in the seas. Likewise, it seeks greater control of fishing territories and precious resources throughout the region, from South China Sea to the Indian Ocean. If the CCP is to hold the United States and its allies at immediate threat and gain unfettered control of the world's most valuable trade routes, it needs greater control of the Indo-Pacific. Sam Kessler, geopolitical analyst and risk management firm North Star Support Group, believes that the base in the region is the logical step for the regime in its ascent to the global domination. At this current moment, it is realistic to see Beijing focusing on building future naval bases that are closer to their area of influence rather than be sprawled out in various continents. Likewise, the aid data report finds that the Pacific and Indian Oceans are China's highest priority maritime environments. In particular, the report finds Hambantota in Sri Lanka the most likely contender for China's next overseas base due to the strategic location of off of India and popularity enjoyed by the regime among local elites and its track record of voting in line with CCP interests internationally. Indeed, the CCP owns 99-year lease on Hambantota Port. The agreement is a result of what some analysts dubbed China's debt trap diplomacy. The lease was negotiated in exchange for relief to more than $1 billion in Chinese debt. We're going to help you with your debt. Give us what we want. We'll relieve you of whatever debt that there is. And in the process, In the process, we get to build what we want for our own necessities. Awesome. What's up, bros? Bobby Bologna, good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Aaron Hawk, awesome. Good to see y'all. Glad y'all here. India loves Russia too. Yes. Mm-hmm. We see it. As we understand what BRICS is. We'll kind of hit on BRICS here a little bit too. The lease was negotiated in exchange for the lease for the $1 billion in Chinese debt. Just a nice little port, nothing massively huge. Just a bunch of land right off the coast. This is the schematic for what it would look like in Sri Lanka. Oh, on November 15, 2018. Do you think this isn't built already? Mr. Kessler agrees the strategic and economic benefits of Sri Lankan base are just too valuable to overlook. Like the Belt and Road Initiative, the CCP needs a networking web or a shield of protection that surrounds their main realm of control, which is mainland China. Ports with high-level investments like Gwadar and Hambantota serve strategic value and enable the CCP to extend their power projection capabilities throughout the Indian Ocean, Indo-Pacific, Middle East, and also Eurasia. Indeed, Beijing has invested more than $2 billion into Hambantota International Port in the past 2 decades, making the CCP's single largest port investment. The CCP has also invested more than $430 million into Sri Lanka's nearby port of Colombo, which could offer similar to support facilities. Both would allow China to rule the seas as direct rival to India. Sri Lanka, though the obvious choice, isn't the only possibility. The aid data report that Mr. Kessler noted the possibility of Gwadar in Pakistan and Port Loganville in Vanuatu near Australia. To that end, the regime has invested some $577 million into Gwadar and $97 million to the port of Luganville, which each offering its own benefits. Vanuatu base would allow the regime to break its apparent containment by U.S. and allied forces, according to the report, while one in Pakistan would further cement the regime's expansion of the Belt and Road Initiative into the Middle East and allow its greater control of the vital Strait of Hormuz. Notably, Pakistan's navy is also the world's largest foreign purchaser of Chinese arms. A naval base there is such would improve the military-to-military relationship and possibly increase interoperability between the two nations' forces. The Cambodia connection, there are other considerations to be made regarding the Indo-Pacific, namely how current military development may lessen or intensify future development. Cambodia, which reports may play a role in this scenario as well. Mr. Kessler said, referring to the CCP's ongoing extension of the Ream military base in Cambodia, where the regime is building deep water facilities in Cambodia's largest naval base is likely to benefit from access to the facility itself. While the official investment to date has been small, Ream Cambodia is very likely to be a Chinese naval facility in one form or another, no matter what, regardless to the size of the facility, is more than likely going to be some form of a facility needed for the Chinese Navy. The Chinese Navy is ever growing, and they're continuously building these bases across the world. This isn't good for anybody. This isn't good for anybody but China. The U.S. National Security Committee has issued warnings since 2019 that Cambodia and China drafted a secret pact that would guarantee China unfettered military access to the port of the Gulf of Thailand upon the completion of the Ream's expansion. The expansion and modernization of the base will increase the size of the vessels serviced there 5 times over, from those with a displacement over 1,000 tons to those of 5,000 tons. That means that the port will still be too small to house China's newest type 055 guided missile cruisers, but will be able to host its smaller frigates, including those equipped with anti-ship missiles and electronic warfare packages. The port is also adjacent to the South China Sea, where China has continuously asserted illegal claims to expand the territory through invented historical rights and the creation of artificial islands, which it claims are part of its territory proper. Of course it does. It went and built the island out in the middle of the sea, and it assumes that it's its own territory, which, in themselves, as opposed to it being, in international law where everybody has the right to sail the seas as they wish. If you're within certain distance of their land, you'd be encroaching on their property. And well, guess what? If they build too many of them close enough to each other, it takes you from being able to sail through the South China Sea at all. China has spent $6.9 billion in West African port projects across 9 nations: Angola, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Mauritania, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone. Flows of cash and other resources from China to Western African nations could indicate that such an expansion, as well as the works, according to Alexander Woolley, Director of Partnership and Communications in Aid Data, whose teams compiled the report of China investments. They're going to have a base somewhere in that region, Mr. Woolley said during August 15th talk to the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank. Which country it might be? They're not telling anyone. They're just going to go ahead and do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. That sounds great. Oh, wow. Look at that. What's up, MLS? Good to see you. Good to see you, my man. Mrs. K. Griff. Awesome. Glad you're here. Is this where all my friends are? Potentially. If there's an awful lot of people that are here tonight, I really do appreciate y'all. Smash that like button if you can support me. That'd be even better. Just kind of read through chat here real quick. Can we start as frenemies? I suppose that's the easy way to do it. What's up, Lucky Chucky? Good to see you. Liked and subscribed. Awesome. Thank you so much. There are hints, however, that the aid data report suggests that Equatorial Guinea and Cameroon are likely contenders. China has already spent more than $659 million improving the port of Bata, Equatorial Guinea, and more than $1.3 billion in Kribi, Cameroon. Both locations would offer the CCP unparalleled placement in the Gulf of Guinea, cementing China as a go-to nation for foreign investment through Africa's rapidly expanding market, while guaranteeing the regime a foothold in the Atlantic Ocean. Of course they need a foothold in the Atlantic Ocean. Why wouldn't they? That if they can go ahead and they can build a port out into the Atlantic Ocean, it would take them no time to go ahead and replenish themselves, refuel themselves, and continue movements anywhere that they wish, as they wouldn't have far to go. They wouldn't have to travel all the way back around the bottom side or through the Suez Canal back to China to take care of themselves, or any other place, because obviously they got ports almost everywhere. The Chinese naval base in West and Central Africa would put the People's Liberation Army Navy within easy striking distance of the United States and NATO member nations. Oh, because it doesn't matter anyway. They're in Cuba. They're already in Cuba. What's the point? At the end of the top U.S. general said last year that Bata appeared to be where the regime had made the most traction in efforts to expand its African military presence. Likewise, Kribi now boasts deep enough waters and large enough pier to accommodate the largest Chinese warships. with Bata and Kribi ports have attractive conditions for Beijing to set up bases and long-term relationships with their leadership, too, Mr. Kessler said. However, the primary goal of the CCP will always be about preserving the realm of influence in addition to expanding it. Regarding naval bases, they're more likely to build from within the expanded outward first. US China competition takes global character. Wherever the CCP chooses to build next, the decision will not be without resistance in kind that Mr. Gallagher and the Select Committee on the CCP intend to deliver. The aid data report notes that wherever the United States catches wind of CCP investments, it will likely seek to sway the local government into its own ends. Such efforts appear to be underway all over the world, including the United States' own backyard. The regime is reportedly secured an agreement with Cuba, for example, to build a spy base just 100 miles off of the coast of Florida. Just 100 miles off the coast of Florida, kind of eerily similar to about the distance of Taiwan to China, about 100 miles. To put them 100 miles off of the U.S. coast would put them within striking distance of our own capital, without issue. Without issue. What's up, Boomer? Good to see you. To that end, the CCP needs to be cautious about maintaining the defensible position, especially if it intends to build a facility prior to the invasion of Taiwan. Prior to the invasion of Taiwan? They've really put themselves out there like they're really going to do something with Taiwan. Like we didn't see that coming. An important caveat for China is that none of the ports described above are currently militarily defensible. In a conflict situation, they would become high-value targets for an enemy. Of course they would. Of course they would. If we knew that those were there, we're going to go and target those first to try preventing them from being able to do what they need to do. So, as opposed to if we get into a war with China in any way, shape, or form, whether it be with Taiwan or any other, I doubt that we're going to go and sit there and try protecting Taiwan straight out. First place that we should most likely strike would be, Cuba. Cuba. Yep. Why not? Why not? Let's just, keep it right here and protect our own selves. We'll attack Cuba, allowing them to continue to move their might wherever they wish as their military continues to grow. And ours is being depleted by sending everything that we have to Ukraine. Perfect. Nothing to see here, folks. China does not belong in a typical defense alliance like NATO and relatively new AUKUS. So they don't have relationship with countries where there's some level playing field in terms of the relationship where they could base their ship, like the U.S. fleet in Naples, for example, Mr. Bully said. If they want to deploy ships further afield, they don't have those relationships with an ally with a host naval base. They don't have as many replenishment ships as other modern navies might have. So it makes sense to be looking for a place to have a naval base. Of course it does. It totally makes sense. It makes absolute sense that if you don't have a navy to replenish yourself, to keep yourself moving around, that you go and you build a navy base somewhere to accommodate. As for the United States, the leadership is currently stuck in the position of needing to guess where the next Chinese base will be, while simultaneously preventing it from being built. As such, Mr. Kessler said, U.S. leadership would need to adapt quickly to shifts in China's strategic thinking and options available to it. The U.S. and its allies will not only need to play catch-up, but to also adapt approaches, mindsets, strategies, and tactics on how to effectively minimize or prevent these patterns from becoming more successful and expansionary by the CCP in the long run. That was an article by the Epoch Times. There's a lot of information that's wrapped up into this. All the nations that they're deciding to ally themselves with, all the little countries that they wish to afford to build navy uh, uh, naval shipyards for replenishment is amazing. It's amazing that they just so happen to have so much money to continuously build in all of these regions over and over again. Uh, back up to the very top, where we see that map that shows all of the places. Quite a lengthy article. All the places that they have involvement with, and you can see there's Cuba and Venezuela, Guyana, Angola, Cameroon, Israel, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Vanuatu. That's pretty much all the way around the world. Oh wait, it's flat, right? No, wrong. It's not. It's not flat. Sorry, anybody that thinks that the world's flat. It's not. But cigars, save the cigars before attacking. China doesn't even go here. Yeah, you don't think so. You don't think that they should go here. But when it comes down to it, their might is sitting in Cuba already. All the little places that they have accommodated and put little police stations, as they call them, along the Canadian border. All the things that they've done within the United States, of from flying balloons over the top of the country to funding K through 12 educations, nearest military bases, to all the other things that China has continuously done. They're not our enemies. They're not. And Joe Biden tells us they're not our enemies. He must be telling us the truth. He must be telling us the truth. Why would he lie to us in any way, shape, or form? What's up, Great Liquor? Good to see you. Good to see you over on that Rumble side of things. That took first 37 minutes. I'm gonna be here a bit. I'm going to be here a bit. Pentagon looking to develop fleet of AI drone systems to combat China. Oh yeah, there you go. That's the way to go. AI drones, things that are easily obtained and reprogrammed to do as you wish. The Pentagon has started to assess possibility of developing artificial intelligence powered fleet of drones and autonomous systems that officials argue will allow the U.S. to compete with the counter threats from China. We're not at war. We're not seeking to be at war, but we have to be able to get these departments to move with the same kind of urgency, because the PRC isn't waiting. It isn't waiting. Isn't waiting. No way, shape, or form is it waiting, says Kathleen Hicks, Deputy Secretary of Defense. Hicks spoke about the potential uses of such an AI fleet during the speech on Wednesday, revealing the department would spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a project aiming to produce thousands of systems for use over land, air, and sea, ready for first deployment within 2 years. 2 years. You better get moving. You better get moving. It's something that you should have been behind a long time ago. China would never. They're a fine, upstanding country. Yeah, sure they are. Go Cowboys. Thank goodness they're doing good, because Don cusses like a drunk sailor if they're not. Go Cowboys. Football. Woke ball. So glad woke ball's back. China is focused heavily on AI research and development, producing its own platforms and models separate of those produced in the U.S. With virtually unregulated use of the military as part of a plan to rush development and implementation, Multiple military officials in recent years have labeled China the U.S. top pacing challenge due to the incredible rate of expansion and military buildup Beijing has rolled out. In recent interviews with Fox News Digital, fuck Fox, Michael McCall, Republican in Texas, likened the competition over AI systems and development in space race with Russia, insisting that the U.S. has to win this one to cede military and economic domination of the world to China. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. No problem there. The Saints won today, fortunately to your husband. Well, hopefully that's a good thing. Um, throw the rest of the scores for all the other teams up there. Did the Bears beat the Packers? That's the best answer. That's the one I want to know. We have to stop exporting our technology to China, and that can put in things like hypersonic missile, for instance, the spy balloon. For that matter, had American parts in it, component parts. McCall said. So hypersonic is a very interesting ordeal in itself, as opposed to missiles taking a regular trajectory in and out of the atmosphere. They'll be able to launch them at a straight line through the air without going past the ozone to prevent satellites and other radar systems from picking it up for quite a distance, allowing them to strike at a quicker stance. So as far as that goes, it could be very dangerous. Lisa says my husband's for the Packers. Well, Bears lost. Oh, isn't that too bad? The gold rush effort of buying enough chips to improve capability of develop AI platforms, along with the increased pressure of nations unwilling to do business with every supplier, such as those in China. The U.S. has banned investments in China's semiconductors and chips. China declared the U.S. chips from Micron a security risk. Security risk. As we don't have our own chip development really set in place, as that they've been talking about attempting to do, it's still to think about it. Oh yeah, okay, we can't use theirs. We better get a move on, as they assume that we're going to be okay within the next 2 years. That might be too far out for anybody to even fathom. But whatever. NFL can bite my ass. Yes, NFL can woke ball can suck a fat one. Woke ball can suck a fat one. Debbie, what's up, dear? Good to see you. Let's see if I can't share this another way. We don't have a video coming in right away. Got a couple things to. I'm going to kind of speed through some of this. Kim Jong-un hosts Chinese and Russian guests for a parade celebrating North Korea's 75th anniversary. You don't say. You don't say. While China has sent delegations led by Vice Premier Liu Gaozhong, in North Korea's anniversary celebration, Russia sent a military song and dance group. Song and dance group as they go ahead and launch a new nuclear attack submarine. No big deal. No big deal. It's just North Korea. It's just North Korea. North Korea that was showing zero tension as Donald Trump went and walked across the demilitarized zone and shook his hand. Joe Biden's too afraid to even fly near it, as he knows that his aggressions would be fired upon. It's amazing. It's amazing how dangerous this all can be. China advances EMP weapons. Military analyst report reveals. Oh, really? EMP weapons? Nothing big here. Just electromagnetic pulse. Stuff that they can go ahead and drop on any spot and decimate anything of electronic good within a large area. No problem. No problem. It's okay. You got lasers that work from space. You got EMPs that are going to be very well developed. I'm not scared of China. Are you? I don't think Joe Biden's scared of China. I think Joe Biden's got him stuck in his back pocket. Oh, wait, he's in their back pocket. Chinese military researchers have made significant advances in developing, testing strategic electromagnetic pulse or EMP weapons that can disable electronics on U.S. warplanes and even entire military bases, according to a report by 3 open source intelligence analysts. Electronic controls of the U.S. critical infrastructure, including the electric grid, could be vulnerable to Chinese EMP arms, resulting in catastrophic losses, according to a new report on the threat. Now, anybody that has actually been listening to me for quite some time now, at one point in time, we did cover the transformers that are actually used on the power lines that just so happen to be built by, the Chinese. You think they're not going to put something in there that's easily disabled by their own EMPs? I think we're greatly mistaken. They can hit us at any point in time and catastrophically shut down large swaths of area without a problem. And we're just going to sit here. We're just going to sit here and be like, nothing to see here. It's all good. Dictionary Diva, what is up, dude? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Electronic controls in the U.S. Critical infrastructure, including the electric grid, could also be vulnerable to Chinese EMP arms, resulting in catastrophic losses, according to the new report on the threat. China's rapid advancements in the field of EMP weaponry have emerged as a significant concern for the strategic landscape of global security, particularly concerning the vulnerabilities of U.S. military and civilian operations. No big deal. No, we use a Joe Biden tactic. No big deal. No, don't worry about it. It's all good. You're safe. France is accused of planning aggression against Niger. Huh, really? You're being accused. You're just being accused. No big deal. No big deal. They've been doing this for a while. They've been the aggressor. They've been the mainstay in Niger for the longest time. The second that this coup took place, they were the first ones to squawk at it and be like, we need to remove these people and put back in play the people that they, arrested, detained, and took over. They were the first ones, but okay. Now all of a sudden they're planning aggression against Niger. Mm-hmm. What kind of ignorance do you think we all have? Paris is planning to intervene in Niger and continues to deploy troops in several countries in the region. The West African state's military government has claimed relations between Niger and former colonial power, France, have deteriorated since the coup in July. France continues to deploy its forces in several ECOWAS economic communities in West African states, countries, as part of preparations and aggression against Niger, which is the planning and collaboration of its community organization. ECOWAS has threatened to intervene in the country to restore the ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. Two top French officials have also stated several times that Paris would support military action by the bloc. Now the interesting when as we speak about France, we don't really speak of France. For whatever reason, we speak of Paris. We speak of cities. We speak of large cities. We don't care about the countries. The countries are going to eventually not exist. Why? Because World Economic Forum, like we said yesterday, is going to eventually take over and continue to push to take over for a one world order where countries won't have to exist. They'll just be cities that exist around the world in this one world order. And as you can see, they continue to push for that. The city was the one that was the aggressor on it, not the country. It was the city. The city did it. It's Paris that we're looking at. We're not looking at France in particular. We're looking at Paris doing this. Paris is going to be the one that's going to feel the wrath of whoever decides to side with Nigeria. Oh, wait, that just might be Russia. Nothing to see here, folks. It's all good. It's all good. Australian and Indonesian forces deploy battle tanks and U.S.-led combat drills amid Chinese concern. Chinese concern? I wonder why Australia and Indonesia would feel the need to go ahead and deploy battle tanks for any reason whatsoever. Thousands of soldiers in the United States, Indonesia, Australia, and other allied forces demonstrated their armor capabilities on Sunday as combat drills in Indonesian island of Java in the time of increased Chinese aggression in the region. President Joe Biden's administration has been strengthening an arc of military alliances in the Indo-Pacific to reassure allies alarmed by Beijing's increasingly provocative actions in disputed South China Sea, which has become a battleground for U.S.-Chinese rivalries. Oh, wait, the United States and China isn't going to fight each other? We're gonna go ahead and support proxy wars? Oh, gee, like that would be something new. Okay, I guess was bolster these armies, these navies, these military might in all of our allied countries. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's okay. It's okay. 0 articles remain from Stars and Stripes for this month. Go figure. U.S. Navy rearms warship with missile at an Australian port for first time. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. The Navy recently rearmed a warship with a missile at the port of Southeast Australia, a sign of increasing logistics options down under. They got it. Wait a minute here. Australia wasn't supposed to exist. The guided missile destroyer USS Peralta took an SM-2 missile for the first time at the Australian Navy wharf in Eden. On August 22nd, the 7th Fleet said in the news release Thursday, the port is about 230 miles south of Sydney. The reloaded SM-2, an air-to-surface defense missile, replaced one launched July 22nd during the start of the Talisman Sabre exercise in Eastern Australia. Task Force 70 spokesman Lieutenant Commander Seth Koenig told Stars and Stripes by email Friday, there's tremendous value in expanding the range and locations through the Indo-Pacific where the U.S. Navy ships can rearm missiles while deployed. The Peralta skipper commander Charles Cooper said that the release of increasing our option to reload sites provides increased flexibility across our mission sets and operating areas. Working closely with the Australian allies, we're able to successfully demonstrate our capability at Eden. So, as we speak of China doing their thing and going and expanding across the world in multiple different regions and areas, building their own naval shipyards to take care of things, we've done the same. We've done the same. We have a couple places where we can take care of such a thing if necessary. And there we are. We're in Australia, going ahead and reloading our military might. The real party is on Rumble. It seems that way. It looks like Vicky and Great Liquor and Charlemagne and Boomer are all over on that side. 22 people watching. How many people hit that like button for me? The little thumbs up button that's sitting there. Come on now. 5? 5? Oh, come on. Do better, please. Just it's okay. Rumble this out as much as you possibly can. Let people know where we're at. It's amazing. It's amazing how many people are actually over on that side. Those that don't know how to get there, let's do this for you real quick. We'll throw a little link right there in chat. Go ahead and bring yourself there. You bring yourself over on that side. Go say hi to everybody. Or if you don't want to, you stay right here on the YouTube side. Hit that like button. Hit that like button for me. Okay, so there's a few things, and this is where I think this is going to take some time. As we're sitting at first hour, we're okay. We got this guy. Oh, shared it wrong. We got this guy, Joe Biden. Joe Biden goes ahead, holds a little meeting in Vietnam for G20 stuff. So as far as this goes, a very disturbing actions by our president in chief.
It is evening, isn't it? This round the world in 5 days is interesting. Well, there's that one of my staff members said, remember the famous song, Good Morning Vietnam? Well, good evening, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam. Oh, really? That's where you're going to go? That's where you're going to go to open up with? A horrible, horrible joke? Way to go, Joe Biden.
And good morning back in America. Before we begin, I want to express my sadness by the loss of life and devastation caused by the earthquake in Morocco. Our thoughts and prayers with the people of Morocco and my friend King Mohammed VI, I should say, and my administration, including Secretary of State Blinken, who's here with me today, is working with Moroccan officials on long distance here. We're working expeditiously to ensure American citizens.
So as opposed to talking about what he's intended to be there for, he's now talking about other things that have happened in Morocco. Now, I do have articles to go along with Morocco if we make it there. There is some 2,000 people that had succumbed to this earthquake, and some 30,000 others that are in trouble. So as far as that goes, thank you for going there as opposed to anywhere else.
In Morocco are safe, standing ready to provide any necessary assistance.
He does eventually start pacing.
Now, turning to the important visit here in Vietnam. As General Secretary and I just shared earlier today, this trip has been a historic moment. Today, we can trace 50-year arc of progress in the relationship between our nations from conflict to normalization. This is a new elevated status that will be a force for prosperity and security one of the most consequential regions in the world. We've elevated our cooperation directly to the Vietnamese highest tier of partnership, referred to as the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. That means the United States has strengthened our ties with another critical Indo-Pacific partner. Our progress today builds on Camp David Trilateral with Japan and Republic of Korea and the United States. Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, the United States launched with ASEAN last year, and the engagement with the Pacific Island Forum. Our strengthened alliances with the Philippines and AUKUS partnership with Australia and the United Kingdom. Our elevated Quad engagement with India, Australia, and Japan, and the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity. And all the effort we've advanced from day one of my administration to demonstrate to our Indo-Pacific partners and to the world, the United States is a Pacific nation, and we're not going anywhere. Now, let me also speak to a significant business we got done in India during the G20 summit. This was an important moment for the United States to demonstrate our global leadership and our commitment to solving the challenges that matter most to people around the world. Investing in inclusive growth and sustainable development, addressing the climate crisis, strengthening food security and education, advancing global health and health security. We showed up ready to work, and we showed the world the United States is a partner with a positive vision for our shared future. As a G20,
So, for him to bring up the first thing as being, as an issue is being global warming, really seriously tells you a lot. Tells you a lot about this asshole when it comes down to it. He doesn't really seriously believe in all of this stuff. He's using talking points to get his thoughts across. Hey, Frog, did you see the article about the Black National Anthem was sung at the Chiefs game? Yeah. There was a pre-show per se that was done before last night's members only stream that I did actually cover that. I didn't listen to it on stream as I didn't want to, catch a copyright for it, but I did cover the fact that it was something that did happen, and everybody was very upset.
At the G20, we made progress on issues like multilateral development bank reform to get to those nations that are neither poor nor wealthy, but we couldn't qualify before, debt relief, and increased infrastructure needs, not only in the global south, but other parts of the world as well. We forged a groundbreaking new partnership that will connect India to Europe with the Middle East and Israel, with transportation by rail and by shipment through an energy supply.
So as opposed to worrying about our own people, our own country, worrying about Hawaii, worrying about the rebuilding of California from Hillary, or the rebuilding of Florida from their hurricane, instead of taking care of our own, he's worried about them. He's worried about every other country and taking care of what they're about. This railroad across Africa is so important. For what? For us? Is that gonna actually fix anything for us? No, he doesn't care about us. He's part of the ridiculousness of making sure the whole world is okay.
And digital connections that are going to open up untold opportunities.
What the fuck is food security? Putting locks on bagels? Yes, locks on bagels. Yes, right straight through that hole. If you can lock it up so you can't separate it. It's dumb.
For transformative economic investment on that entire corridor. We've also discussed Russia's brutal and illegal war in Ukraine. There was sufficient agreement in the room on the need for a just and lasting peace that upholds the principles of the UN Charter and respects sovereignty and territorial integrity. I want to once again thank Prime Minister Modi for his leadership and his hospitality in hosting the G20. He and I have had substantial discussions about how we're going to continue to strengthen the partnership between India and the United States, building on the Prime Minister's visit to the White House last June.
India and the United States, the relationship between India and the United States, you think there's a relationship there? Or do you think Moody's actually, pulling your chain as when we look at BRICS as being the largest, potential, group around right now as being a thing, and India is part of that with China, Russia, South Africa, and a couple others, Brazil. No. Okay. Sure. Yeah. We have great relationship with India. Mm-hmm.
And as I always do, I raise the importance of respecting human rights and the vital role the civil society and a free press have in building a strong and prosperous country with Mr. Modi. And we've gotten a lot of important work done, and I'm looking forward to another good day tomorrow here in Vietnam. And now I will take your questions.
So much better. I'm so glad you're going to take our questions. I hope that they don't just sit there and throw you softballs of questions that you're going to go ahead and try deflecting and not answering. Will they ask those hard-hitting questions, and will you answer them? He's just here for some of that American money pie. It sounds like it, doesn't it, Great Liquor?
Let me see. They told me they gave me 5 people here.
Oh, they gave you 5 people. They gave you 5 people. We're here for another 20 minutes, and they gave you 5 people that are going to ask a question. It's so good that they can select the people that are going to ask you the question, as opposed to having you just randomly select anybody to see what their questions were and see if you could even come close to answering them. A good thing that this is set up for you. Awesome.
Nandita of Reuters.
Oh yes, of Reuters. Yes, perfect. Let's go with some leftist media source to see what kind of trash question they ask.
Thank you for taking my question, Mr. President.
Well, there you are. I couldn't
hi.
say I'm sorry.
Hi. Last week, China questioned the quote sincerity of the Biden administration.
I'm sorry, the what?
The sincerity
The sincerity of the Biden administration.
of the Biden administration, and accused the United States of containing China while pushing for diplomatic talks.
He just so happened to know the word that she messed up on what she was actually supposed to ask. Of course he did. Yep. Mm-hmm. Hey, Just Don, good to see you.
How would you respond to that? And do you think President Xi is being sincere about getting the relationship back on track as he bans Apple in China?
Well, look, first of all, I am sincere about getting the relationship right. And one of the things that is going on now is China is beginning to change some of the rules of the game in terms of trade and other issues. And so one of the things we talked about, for example, is that they're now talking about making sure that no one in the Chinese government can use a Western cell phone, those kinds of things.
They won't be able to use his Western cell phone. We're not worried about our own means of, shutting down things like TikTok, which would be Chinese Communist Party, and not being able to use their services. They're not going to use ours either. Oh, okay. Sounds good. I'm so glad that there's not going to be an open communication line between the two. That works.
And so really what this trip was about, it was less about containing China. I don't want to contain China. I just want to make sure we have a relationship with China that is on the up and up, squared away. Everybody knows what it's all about. And one of the ways you do that is you make sure that we are talking about.
Oh, no. have not had these issues in a while. This is the second time today that this computer's taking a crap on me. Hopefully, I'm back. I'm back. I was able to pause that video as as I was coming back. It sucks. So upset right now.
And other issues. And so one of the things we talked about, for example, is that they're now talking about making sure that no Chinese, no one in the Chinese government can use a Western cell phone, those kinds of things. And so really what this trip was about, it was less about containing China. I don't want to contain China. I just want to make sure we have a relationship with China that is on the up and up, squared away. Everybody knows what it's all about. And one of the ways you do that is you make sure that we are talking about the same things. And I think that one of the things we've done, I've tried to do, and I've talked with a number of my staff about this for the last, I guess, 6 months, is we have an opportunity to strengthen alliances around the world to maintain stability. That's what this trip was all about. Having India cooperate much more with the United States, be closer with the United States, Vietnam being closer with the United States, it's not about containing China. It's about having a stable base in the Indo-Pacific. And for example, when I was spending a lot of time talking with President Xi, he asked why was I going to have the Quad, meaning Australia, India, Japan, the United States. And I said to maintain stability. It's not about isolating China. It's about making sure the rules of the road, everything from airspace and
if that was the case that you formed the Quad of Australia, Japan, India, and the United States, and it's not about isolating China, why wouldn't we work out something to ally with them in some way, shape, or form? Because there's no way of actually doing so without going ahead and handing Taiwan over to China. That's what they want. They want Taiwan. The United States says, no, you don't get Taiwan. We don't want to let you have it because it closes down our means of having a place to produce microchips that are so greatly and widely needed within the next few years so that we can build up that military might that we had talked about earlier. ID Crisis. What's up, brother? Good to see you.
Space in the ocean is the international rules of the road are abided by. And so
Darth Hideous over on the Rumble side says, I say give them Taiwan. I mean, maybe that might just be the best option. That might just be the best option to prevent World War III. Oh, wait, we're already fighting World War III. Never mind.
So, and I hope that, I think that Prime Minister Xi has some difficulties right now. All countries end up with difficulties, and he has some economic difficulties he's working his way through. I want to see China succeed economically, but I want to see him succeed by the rules.
I mean, it's China anyway. I mean, Taiwan. I mean, potentially, but that would also be like saying that Cuba's United States. It's greatly not, as we covered this earlier, that China actually has a spy base as well as the means to build a naval shipyard right there, 100 miles off of the coast of the United States. Catherine, what's up? Just wanted to wish a great stream. Just drop in to throw a like. Need sleep. See you next time. Okay, sounds good. You have a good one. Sleep well.
The next question was to Bloomberg.
Bloomberg. There you go. There's a great one. Let's go to
Mr.
Bloomberg.
President, following up on your comments on China and the economy, you recently called China's economy a ticking time bomb. Do you believe the country's slowdown could risk destabilizing the global economy or causing China to be more aggressive defensively,
Say
including
the
with
first part of your question again. Is there this
I wasn't quite paying attention to what you were saying the first time. Can you say it one more time for me?
fan is going on? It's loud behind me.
no worries. Do you believe the country's slowdown and growth could risk destabilizing the global economy or cause China to be more aggressive defensively, including with Taiwan? And separately, sir, are you worried about the meeting between President Putin and Kim Jong-un, if that could mean Russia has more gains in the war in Ukraine?
Look, I think China has a difficult economic problem right now for a whole range of reasons that relate to international growth and lack thereof, and the policies that China has followed. And so I don't think it's going to cause China to invade Taiwan. As a matter of fact, the opposite, probably doesn't have the same capacity that it had before. But as I said, we're not looking to hurt China, sincerely.
Okay, we're not looking to hurt China. Sincerely, we want to be friends with them in all accounts, but we're going to continue to push and spend more money by putting military might on the island of Taiwan, and go ahead and enforce something that isn't ours. Okay, sounds good. ID Crisis pop over to the Rumble side says, not until we get our own chip manufacturing up and running. They need to do that soon. As you know, we read earlier that we need to the AI, artificial intelligence drones that we want to accomplish to build within the next few years won't be using China goods. We want them to actually be using United States goods, and we want to have these built within the next 2 years. They need to speed this up, this process of building microchips right here in the United States. It's got to happen soon. We need to get away from this toxic one-way relationship. Of course we do. All economies are ticking time boom. Kind of seems that way, doesn't it? I'm having a really hard time with the current generation of media pundits that can't pronounce the letter T. Guess I didn't understand that, but I think now I'm going to be paying attention to the letter T. Ukraine gets their asses kicked. Throw more money at it. Yep, throw more money at it. It's okay. It's okay. We won't worry about the 300,000 Russian troops that are sitting back waiting, as the people that are actually fighting for them right now are those that were from, Afghanistan. Yes. With what? Oh, yeah. Our own military might that we left in Afghanistan. Perfect. Don't worry about it. Just throw more money at it. It's okay.
We're all better off if China does well. China does well by the international rules, grows the economy. But they have had some real difficulty in terms of their economy of late, particularly in real estate, side that end of the bargain.
If you listen to the very first article that we read tonight, it goes along with China and all of the quote unquote territory infrastructure that they have acquired around the world. They seem to be doing just fine.
And I think the actions that they're going to have to take are ones that they're in the process of deciding right now. And I'm not going to predict what way will come out, but we're not looking to decouple from China. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sell China material that would enhance their capacity to make more nuclear weapons, to engage in defense activities that are contrary to what is viewed as most people think was a positive development in the region. And but we're not trying to hurt China. Okay.
We're not trying to hurt China. We don't care what they do. We just want them to be able to do whatever it is that they want, and it's okay. It's okay.
BBC, Laura? Am I correct? Is that correct, Laura?
It is. My name is Laura Bicker. I'm from BBC News. Good evening, Mr. President.
Good
How are
evening.
you?
Well, thank you.
Good.
These 5-day trips around the world are no problem.
I can imagine. It is evening, I'd like to remind you. I mean, in the last 6 months, you've signed pacts and deals.
She needed to remind him as he said, "Good morning." It is evening, sir. Let's break China's vagina. Okay. Wait, they don't have any. Demographic joke. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, Darth. You're on top of your toes tonight. He has a seating chart. Yes, he does. Yes.
Deals with Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Australia, even the Pacific Islands. You're here standing in Beijing's backyard. Now, China says this is part of your Cold War mentality. Are they right, sir? Are they right, Mr. President? Is there a danger of a Cold War? And when will you meet Mr. Xi?
Well, I hope I get to see Mr. Xi sooner than later. I've spent more time with him than any other.
I like how it comes across and says Mr. Xi.
The world leader has some total over the last.
No, I turned on the closed caption now because the couple things that come up here soon, the stuff that he says, it really gets a little garbled, and you need to see the words that he's supposed to say as he's saying them.
12 years. So I hope we get to see him again soon. But no, look, for example, one of the things we did in India, we provided for a new path that's going to save everybody money, increase the global South's capacity to grow by
the third world, the global South. What's the difference between the third world and the global South? Oh, the Southern Hemisphere. You speak of the Southern Hemisphere. Australia is third world. Oh, okay, good to know. Good to know. Glad that you can be as ignorant as you possibly can. Jackass.
We're gonna have a new railroad from India all the way across to the Mediterranean, shipping lanes and pipelines across the Mediterranean through.
All the way across. What are we concerned about this rail line? Is this something that we, as the United States of America, really need to be interested in any way, shape, or form? Is this going to help us? I doubt it. Australia can't be third world. They don't even exist.
Through Europe up into Great Britain and beyond. That's all about economic growth. It has nothing to do with hurting China or helping China. It has to do with dealing with everything from climate change to making sure that these countries can succeed economically and grow. Look, my thesis has been from the beginning, both domestically and in terms of foreign policy, invest in your people. Invest in the people.
What people? You aren't invested in us. You don't care about us. Who are you investing in? Which people is it that you're investing in, you jerk?
Give them a chance. Everything's better off when people, I'm not going to sound trite. If everybody in the world had a job they got up in the morning and wanted to go to and thought they could put 3 squares on the table for their family, no matter where they live, the whole world would be better off. Would be a lot better. That's the notion here behind this. For example, one of the things we're doing in terms of, I propose.
Are you assuming that there's not enough jobs to be had? or are you assuming that people are lazy and don't want to go and find the jobs? Which one is it, Joe Biden?
A long time ago at the G7, now it's going to come to fruition in the G20, is making sure that we build a railroad all the way across the African continent. Think about it. There is no way to cross the African continent by road, by rail, and there's not even a direct highway across. Now, let's assume for the sake of discussion, we talk about food shortages. Assume there was one country in that vast continent that had an excess of foodstuffs and resources. How would they get it to where they're going to go? How are they going to do it? That's why we're also going to invest billions of dollars in solar facilities in Angola, to have the largest solar facility in the world, or among the largest. That helps Angola, but also helps the whole region. So I think we think too much in terms of Cold War terms. It's not about that. It's about generating economic growth and stability in all parts of the world. And that's what we're trying to do. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Except for the United States. Except for the United States. The United States doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. We're okay. We don't need the government to give us anything. We don't need them to fix anything. Hawaii's fine. California's fine. Florida's fine. It's all good. Invest in the people you know. The zombies in Philadelphia strung out on fentanyl. Yeah, those people. Yeah, those people. We don't care about them.
Okay. Am I pronouncing it Avilia? Did I pronounce the name correctly?
Look at all the people there. You think there isn't a couple people in that room that might have some similar name? Do you want to say exactly where they're from? East Palestine's just fine. Mm-hmm.
There you are.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank
It's
you.
Aurelia and for AFP. I had a question on the climate crisis. You just mentioned the G20. Just this week, the United States warned that if there is no phasing out of fossil fuels, it won't be possible to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement. There was no agreement at the G20 on fossil fuels. How concerned are you about this lack of consensus?
A great question. Let's talk about fossil fuels, as he doesn't care about the actual real use for fossil fuels and what we should do with them. Let's go ahead and let's boast and push for clean energy, because that's where we should invest all of our fossil fuels in. Is ridiculous bullshit.
It wasn't so much an agreement that we would try to meet the goals of G20. The United States is going to meet those goals, by the way. We're going to exceed those goals. A lot of other countries are as well. But we want to give those countries that don't have the economic wherewithal and did not cause the problem in the first place. For example, I met with Lula in Brazil. I started off way back in the 80s with a really fine Republican senator named Dick Lugar. We said, here's what we're going to do. If you owe us money, we're going to forgive your debt if you maintain your forest.
Sorry. I caught the words that on the bottom of the screen. I was reading along with it. When it says Dick Lugar, it capitalizes Lugar, but not Dick. I don't know why people promote Biden. Even with a disdain for Trump, Biden just makes me angry. I agree. When it comes to Biden, he's so worthless and ridiculous that almost anything that comes out of his mouth is just ridiculous. And he really seriously does not care. First, continually thinking that he's the best president ever, and he's going to do so many good things for us because Bidenomics is supposedly working, and all this other shit is just dumb. It's ridiculous. Good old Dick Luger.
Because they become carbon sinks. They're the things that take carbon out of the air. And so we're talking to what we should be and the countries that cleared their land.
You mean trees? You mean trees, full-grown trees that actually go ahead and consume carbon. Oh, those things that Bill Gates wants to cut down. Oh, okay.
And put cattle on it and farming and did all the things that increase development. They, in fact, are the main reason why we've gotten as far down the road to disaster here as we have. And so it seems that if we have the economic capacity, those nations, should be getting together and providing help for the nations that don't have the wherewithal to do it. The economic wherewithal and the infrastructure wherewithal. And that's why, for example, I mentioned, in the interest of time, I just mentioned Angola again. Angola has the capacity to generate megawatts of energy through solar energy.
What a waste. It has the capacity to generate megawatts of energy. The individual numbers, megawatts, not in double digits or triple digits or anything like that, just megawatts. Good to know. Good to know that they have so much space from cutting down so many trees to go ahead and put up solar panels that will deplete and be trash in the next 10 to 15 years. Good to know. Good to know.
They don't have the economic means to do that. Isn't it in the interest of the whole world if they're in fact able to generate significant capacity to absorb, to prevent carbon from being released in the air? I think it is. So what we're trying to do is help those nations, particularly in the global south, where they're not as wealthy, where there are not as many opportunities, to be able to deal with the things that they want to deal with. For example, and I'll end with this, there is more carbon absorbed from the atmosphere on a daily basis, and I'll look to my friend John Kerry, who's forgotten more about this than most people know. Correct me if I get this wrong, John, but I'm quite sure I'm right. And that is that there's more carbon observed from the air into the Amazon region, into the ground, than admitted in the entire United States on the same basis.
But let's not talk about China and how much they actually produce, how much carbon is actually spewed into into the air. We don't care about them. We don't care about China. We don't care about India. We don't care about any other country. The only country that we're concerned about is the United States of America. We're the only ones that produce carbon. We're the only ones that do. We shouldn't worry about any other country to fix this supposed issue that they call an issue.
Now imagine if people go in and do what we did 150, 250 years ago and cut down the forest and start farming in that area. No longer have that great carbon sink. It would be a gigantic problem. So we should be going to areas, whether it's in the Congo or other places, as the G7 nations and as the wealthy G20 nations, though, and providing the kind of infrastructure they need to be able to benefit. And guess what? In addition to helping the environment overall, and the only existential threat humanity faces, even more frightening than a nuclear war, is global warming going above 1.5 degrees in the next 10 years.
In the next 10 years, The 1.5 degrees, the same 1.5 degrees that we were told by Greta Thunberg so many years ago that it would happen by a certain time, and then we passed that time and that never happened. Now we're just going to continue to project out further and further that, we still have the same issue that we really technically don't have. It's a freaking lie. It's a lie that's produced by the global elite. Solomon says, I think the Cold War terms are sure gotten us into a big mess. Sure has. 1.5 degrees is greater than nuclear war? Yes. Of course it is. Come on now. Come on, ID Crisis. Yeah, right. The US don't produce shit. Nowhere near what China actually produces for carbon.
It'd be real trouble. There's no way back from that. And so there's a lot we can do in the meantime. For example, that pipeline, that railroad we're talking about going across from India throughout the Middle East and across the Mediterranean and all through Europe, that's going to have hydrogen pipeline there. This is going to significantly reduce the amount of carbon emitted in the air.
This railroad, the railroad that he continuously hits on because he thinks that this is the greatest thing ever. It had to have been, installed into his brain to let him know that this is the most important thing. To have this train line run all the way across from China, India, all the way across into Africa, and then across the Mediterranean Sea. Because of the nitrogen pipeline that would be attached to it. That's smart. We should totally do that. Makes so much sense.
But it costs a lot of money to put that down. And the
train,
world's going to
that's the
say
big
it's
plan.
in our
Yes.
interest, collective interest to do it. So I have not given up at all on the notion that we're going to be able to, how can I say it? I think we can triple the renewable capacity.
Choo-choos and ice cream. Oops, I pooped my pants.
For
Good one,
as it
Andy.
relates to global warming by the year 2030.
20,
Countries
2030,
following the IRA
2030. Yeah.
playbook, which is the one we passed, clean energy jobs are going to create manufacturing jobs. For example, as a consequence of what we've done, we have the strongest economy in the world today. Right now, today, the United States of America has the strongest economy in the world.
He thinks that we all think that he's telling us the truth. In the world.
In the world. Now, we've got more to do, but we have the strongest economy in the world. And one of the reasons we're doing it, we changed the mechanism.
Did the audience laugh at him when he said that? They should have.
How we deal with this. And that is, instead of trickle-down economy, that is, if the wealthy and the corporations do very well, everybody's going to do well. Well, the truth of the matter is, I've never bought that theory, but I think the times have changed and a lot of leading economists are beginning to agree with me. Just flat, straight-out academic economists. And that is, we should build economic growth from the middle out and the bottom up. When that happens, everybody does well. Everybody does well. The wealthy still do very, very well. They have no problem. You can still be a billionaire under that system as well. But you're going to start paying your taxes. If I have anything to do with it, that's a different issue.
Oh, we're worried about them paying taxes, but not your own son. Oh, okay. Sounds good. I'm glad that we're so concerned about people paying their taxes. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you, Joe Biden. Why don't you look at your own son, take your rose-colored glasses off your eyes, and actually see the stupid shit that your son has done.
But all kidding aside, so I think the other thing is dawning on people. Many of you are foreign policy experts, have been engaged for a long time. Did you ever?
Thomas Sowell has no clue what this fucking retard is talking about, guaranteed. I mean, it's Thomas Sowell. I've read a couple of his books, and I've talked to a couple different people about Thomas Sowell. And as far as that goes, he seems to potentially just be the paid opposition. So, no better than Fox. Shut up and pay your taxes, Koolfrogg. Yeah, well, I mean, I do. Do you pay yours?
I think you'd be sitting at a G20 conference where everyone was
bet you
preoccupied
do.
with the notion of global warming. Not a joke. Did you ever think that?
No.
And there's my brother loves having.
Oh no. This is where he goes off the rail. My brother. Oh yeah. Okay. Tell us another lie about your family. Thank you. Please do.
There's famous lines from movies that he always quotes. You know, and one of them is there's a movie about John Wayne. He's an Indian scout, and they're trying to get I think it was the Apache, one of the great tribes of America, back on the reservation, and he's standing with the Union. So they're all on their horses and their saddles, and there's 3 or 4 Indians in headdresses, and the Union soldiers. The Union soldiers basically saying to the Indians, "Come with me, we'll take care of you. Everything will be good." And the Indian looks at John Wayne and points to the Union soldier and says, "He's a lion, dog-faced pony soldier." Well, there's a lot of lying
dog-faced pony soldier. Sounds like something that came out of your own mouth, Joe Biden.
Faced pony soldiers out there about global warming.
You say that about some guy that was in a factory somewhere that just so happened to have something to say to you, and you looked at him and you called him straight up a lying dog-faced pony soldier. Not a lion dog-faced pony soldier, but a lying. He can't say lying. He doesn't know how to say it. So as he says lion, that's what gets produced in text on the screen of lion dog face pony soldier. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
But not anymore. All of a sudden.
Why are you whispering into the microphone? You creepy sniffing old bastard.
Realize it's a problem. And there's nothing like seeing the light. Let's see. I'm just following my orders here.
You're just following your orders here. Gee, I wonder who gave you the orders that you're supposed to follow. Good job, Joe Biden.
Staff, is there anybody haven't spoken to? No, I ain't calling on you. I said I had 5 questions.
Anybody that didn't get a chance. Yeah, me. Everybody in the audience says, hey, wait a minute. I want a chance to say something. I'm not calling on you. Oh, okay. I said that 5 questions. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anita from VOA.
Anita from VOA. There you go. Perfect. Yes, one more left-leaning paper to go ahead and ask them a question. Just have them ask you a question. Let's get the next wiffle ball up here.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope you didn't think that calling only on women would get you softballs tonight.
Oh, he only called on women thinking he's going to get softballs. Oh, I'm glad that she pointed out. Let's see what kind of softball she throws.
Oh, I know better than that.
Okay, well, let me start with President Xi.
If you send me a softball, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'd probably strike out even worse.
You mean this isn't already scripted? Okay, sure it's not. Sure it's
So let me
not.
ask you about, you've spent lots of time talking about all the time you spent with President Xi and the importance of leader-to-leader communication, yet you two haven't spoken in 10 months. And I just wonder, are you worried that this is destabilizing the US-China relationship? And what are you going to do about it? And then, if I may, on Ukraine, sir, Kiev is upset that the G20 communique didn't name Russia as the aggressor. Have you managed to rally more support or sympathy across the G20, or is this emerging as a wedge issue with the Global South? And does that change your commitment to Ukraine?
It's not a wedge issue with the Global South. It's a wedge issue with Russia, which is present, and with China, which is present, has representation.
Which was present and with China. China has something to do with, just as well as North Korea, producing enough to go ahead and supply Russia with more military might. Ah, yes. We should not point that out. We should tiptoe around that.
And
laugh
so,
at it.
And by the way, I am my team, my staff still meets with President Xi's people and his cabinet. In effect, I met with his number 2 person here in India today. So it's not like there's a crisis if I don't personally speak to him. It'd be better if I did. But I think, look, this is not a criticism. It's an observation. He has his hands full right now. He has overwhelming unemployment with his youth. One of the major
major overwhelming unemployment of his youth? Are we supposed to have the youth have jobs? Kind of sounds a little odd, but okay.
Economic tenets of his plan isn't working at all right now. I'm not happy for that, but it's not working. So he's trying to figure out, I suspect, I don't know, just like I would, trying to figure out what to do about the particular crisis they're having now. But I don't think it's a crisis relating to conflict between China and the United States. As a matter of fact, I think it's less likely to cause that kind of conflict. Anyway, I just think that there are other things on leaders' minds, and they respond to what's needed at the time. And look, nobody likes having celebrated international meetings if you don't know what you want at the meeting.
Oh, we know what you want. You want in on this train line that runs from India up through all the way across the Mediterranean into Europe. That's what you want. That's what you want.
Don't have a game plan. He may have a game plan. He just hasn't shared it with me. But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Perfect. Glad that you're going to go to bed. That's where you need to go. You need to go lay your ass down, because everything that you've said so far has been ignorant as fuck. Lisa says Frog gotta have the slave labor to mail our Walmart products.
Yeah, we talked about at the conference overall. We talked about stability. We talked about making sure that the third world, the Southern Hemisphere had access to change it, had access. It wasn't confrontational at all.
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
He was asked an extra question. He tried answering it. So, shut it down. Stop them from asking any more questions. Nothing else should ever be answered or asked ever again. As he has a hard time setting down the microphone. The next thing that he actually does that they cut off was as he's stumbling off stage. He doesn't fall, but as he's stumbling across the stage to get off the stage, somebody actually hollers at him about his son. How do you feel about your son being indicted? And of course, says zero things. Somebody did holler at him about that, but obviously they'd cut that off on purpose. They cut it off on purpose. They don't want you to even think about such a thing. It's horrible. It's horrible what they've done to this wonderful world that we live in. Where am I at? Geez, 2 hours. That took longer than I wanted it to, but okay. Let's keep pushing. Rise of BRICS and the fall of G20. When the G20, aka Group of 20, was created in 1999, the United States was the big dog at the table and saw a new entity of another forum tool giving Washington more de facto control over the international financial system. Created in the aftermath of World War II in order to coordinate international economic policy in the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency via the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank and World Trade Organization. It is no coincidence that the G20 meeting in India comes at the heels of a successful BRICS summit 2 weeks ago in South Africa. With the contrast, BRICS is growing in its long list of countries in the global south clamoring for membership with the G20 is losing its luster in clout. The current members of the G20 consist of Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, the UK, and the United States. It also includes 2 regional organizations, the European Union and the African Union, who are allowed to attend and contribute to the discussion. By this time tomorrow, we will have a final communique with the G20 confab, but early reports indicate that no agreement to condemn Russia's military operation in Ukraine despite pressure of the United States and Europe. This is a key indicator that the U.S. effort to isolate and punish Russia is backfiring. It's backfiring. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. They think what we're doing is ignorant and stupid, and we need to back the fuck off. We need to back the fuck off on it instead of wasting our taxpayer dollars over and over again for Ukraine. 2 years ago, Russia and China were chafing at being held hostage to the US dollar in order to conduct international trade and did not have any viable alternative. That reality is now changing and changing rapidly. At least 6 of the G20 members are working intensely to set up trade regimens that operate independent of the dollar. The United States and Europe's egregious use of sanctions against Russia and China has fractured the foundation of G20 and created a growing movement amongst large countries who no longer are willing to submit to U.S. using the dollar to punish them. They've walked away from the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is worth a shit, and it's going to continue to be worth a shit. Ukraine, the war in Ukraine is dumb. It's a money laundering organization where we put our money into, comes back out, goes to SBF through the DNC and back into Joe Biden's back pocket, and he knows it. He knows it, and so many other people are waking up to that issue. But for whatever godforsaken reason, we're supposed to go ahead and we're supposed to believe him that this is a good deal, that we need to, be there to interject in such a ridiculous thought. It's so bad and so dumb on so many levels. We're not going to cover this. I think we already know that she's ready and able to go ahead and take over for Joe Biden at any point in time, and she's going to continue to push the ridiculousness that's already being spewed and peddled as it is. CBS admits that incorrectly edited Kamala Harris interview clip when asked about GOP attacks on her. This is actually slightly interesting. So it says CBS issued a new version of an interview of Vice President Kamala Harris, shockingly admitting that it incorrectly edited a fiery conversation. During an interview with Face the Nation host Margaret Brennan made headlines when she asked Harris if she was prepared to step into President Joe Biden's shoes should he no longer be able to serve in office. Brennan points out that the contrast between Biden and Harris's age is more extended clip that was not initially aired. She then cited numerous attacks about Republican candidates regarding the issue. The Wall Street Journal had a poll showing 2/3 of Democrats say Joe Biden is too old to run again. Are you prepared to be commander in chief? The articles kind of went along with each other, which is the reason that I'm skipping it. We're seeing Republican candidates hone in on you in particular as the next up for that job. Nikki Haley says a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for President Harris. Chris Christie, I want to be clear that I pray every night that Joe Biden's good health, not only because he's our president, but because of who our vice president is. Ron DeSantis, Harris is Biden's impeachment insurance. People know if she were president, battered the doors as bad as Biden did, it would get worse. How do you respond to all that? In response, Harris claimed that Biden administration is delivering for American people. And the reality is that, unfortunately, very few of those who challenge our administration actually have a plan for America. The vice president attempted to brag about Biden administration's accomplishments. However, Brennan interjected, saying that many people argue Harris is being president could be a risk. I mean, listen, in my career as a career prosecutor, I was the first woman elected district attorney in San Francisco, a major city in the country, and reelected. I was the first woman attorney general for the second largest Department of Justice in the United States and was reelected. I was the United States Senator. I represented one in 8 Americans, and I'm now Vice President of the United States. They feel the need to attack because they're scared that we will win based on the merit of the work that Joe Biden and I and our administration have done. Nope, that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. For you to project the lie and try to go ahead and correct your statement as it wasn't being stated correctly by CNN, right? CBS, whoever it was, some crappy bullshit network. Before the clip cut off, Brennan, a host, pointed out that Democrats also worry about Biden's age. The incorrect version just shown to millions on broadcast, while the corrected version was streamed on CBS News live and posted in social media. She's not the best person to take over for Joe Biden if something were to happen. For us to continuously think that she's going to do a good job is wrong, false, and maybe potentially just, not good news. So, as we're speaking of this lady, I'm going to reshare this screen because you need to watch this. So it says, when the cat's away, the mice will play. While Joe Biden continued his confessed attendance at G20 in India, the White House held a party on Saturday to commemorate the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. Kamala Harris was on site to play host, and things got out of hand. In her evergreen attempt to seem relatable and authentic, the vice president decided to break out her best dance moves, things did not go well. We can't really play the music, but oh yes, you totally. Right. Those are some great dance moves. Thank you so much. Thank you for dancing on the grave of the United States. It's so bad. Have you ever seen someone that calls themselves African American, who's actually Indian Jamaican, go ahead and go to the point of having shit ass dance moves? Yeah, you've seen it. You've seen it. If that didn't give you a laugh, I don't know what would. Seriously, her dance moves were trash. She can't even dance correctly. How could she have ever done anything else correct? How did she get into the position that she is? How did she, according to what so many say, Heels Up Harris got her job correctly. But, for whatever reason, it's just so bad. This white boy has better moves and my knees suck. Exactly, brother. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, wait a minute here. Thank you for being so ignorant. Why? To kind of move on. That was supposed to be a nice little segue from one to the next. Why is 83-year-old Nancy Pelosi running? It's all about the Benjamins, and she'll gleefully tell you. She'll gleefully tell us that it's all about the Benjamins. Now more than ever, our city needs us to advance San Francisco values and further our recovery. Our country needs America to show the world that our flag is still there with liberty and justice for all. That is why I will run for re-election and respectfully ask for your vote. Fuck off, Nancy Pelosi. Advance San Francisco values nationwide. Surely she must be joking. San Fran poop map. Yuck. Yuck. They have a poop map. They've mapped out where everybody goes and defecates on the street. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Isn't that something? A good thing that she's going to continue to be a representative for that district. I'm so glad that she's that octogenarian herself. She's older than Joe Biden, 83 years old, and still going to continue to try running for representative of the United States of America, because it's all about the Benjamins. She needs them dollar bills. That's what she's there for. Horrible trash. Skeptical truther. What's up? Where's the third guy? Fuck yourself. We know who you are. It's okay. It's okay. You can go away. Ken Buck warns a perfect storm coming for McCarthy after recess. Uh-oh. Ken Buck described the perfect storm awaiting House Speaker Kevin McCarthy this month when the House of Representatives reconvenes over the August recess. I think there's a perfect storm brewing for the House's near future in September. According to the Colorado Republican, the necessity of passing continuing resolution temporarily funds certain government functions while appropriations are sorted out, something several conservative Republicans representatives are vehemently opposed to, is the first issue McCarthy will face. But Buck noted, We also have members of the House led by my good friend Chip Roy, who are concerned about policy issues. He detailed that these members are requesting riders attached to the appropriations bill with amendments which address certain issues such as securing the southern border. Additionally, McCarthy faces increasing pressure from representatives and Republican voters across the country to initiate an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. The Speaker has expressed an intention to move forward with an inquiry as Republicans point to new information regarding Hunter Biden's business dealings that they believe implicates the president. You take those three things put together, and Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker, has made promises on each of these issues to different groups, and now it is all coming due at the same time. It is going to be very difficult to pass a continuing resolution Republican votes, only Republican votes, and so I think if he reaches across the aisle and gets Democrat votes and goes with a higher number than he has promised before, I think that this is the issue, really, that I think will cause him problems down the road. He added, referencing promises McCarthy is understood to have made to Republican representatives regarding spending levels. When asked by Psaki if he thinks whether McCarthy will remain Speaker at the end of the year, Buck said he will. I don't see anybody else that's really has risen up and is willing to take on this job. Speaking about the slim Republican House majority, Buck claimed, "You wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy." It is very difficult for him to operate the House in any way that keeps everybody happy. I think that Buck is sitting there trying to project some ridiculousness that isn't true, but whatever. I will take Kevin's job, so I think that's really what saves Kevin is the lack of enthusiasm in anybody else to do the job. Kevin McCarthy might actually have some issues come the end of the year. According to Buck, he won't have the issues that are potentially coming up, as I do believe that there's almost anybody better than McCarthy, the swamp creature himself, that could do this job. Remember, it doesn't need to be somebody that's already in the House to be Speaker of the House. Any individual can actually be Speaker of the House. I could be. I just need to be selected, and a majority of them say yes. Anybody. Absolutely anybody. Senate tees up AI hearings come Tuesday. There's going to be some interesting hearings come up for AI conversation through the Senate. So then you can actually see here confirmed guests for AI forum are Altman, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, and Google CEO Eric Schmidt, and Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai. So when we look at this, Meta, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, and then Alphabet that owns Google, go figure. Let's see how many World Economic Forum shills we can usher in to question them about AI technology here in the near future. This will be Tuesday. It'll be something that I will be paying attention to. If you're not a member over on the YouTube side, if you're not a member, you might want to actually go ahead and become a member, as most likely I won't air this kind of stuff on a show. I may go through some of it, but I'm probably watching this from Discord. I'll be watching it from Discord. If you're not in Discord, figure out how to get yourself in there. There's several ways. You can either pay for a join. If you can't afford to, you reach out to me at Koolfrogg on Twitter or koolfrogg@gmail.com, and we can figure something out to get you in there. There's also other people that can help you if you know who you're looking at. Redistricting 2023, the status of contested congressional maps in 3 states. They're still having issues. Florida, the congressional map of Sunshine State, is currently in legal limbo after a circuit judge ruled last week that the current map, which was enacted in 2022, was unconstitutional. Of course it was. Because why wouldn't it be unconstitutional for any map that's ever been drawn? Gerrymandering is a thing from both sides. You don't get to point fingers at one side or the other and say, "Oh, they're the ones that are wrong." Nah. Both sides. Ohio, the congressional map used in 2022 in Ohio will remain in place for 2024 elections after the challenge to their legality. It was dismissed by Ohio Supreme Court on Thursday. The map had been in legal limbo since it was struck down by the Ohio Supreme Court under the previous Chief Justice last year. The ruling was subsequently remanded to the U.S. Supreme Court in June and sent back to Ohio Supreme Court, which dismissed the case. So Ohio is going to be good for another election cycle before they do the same thing and try getting it changed one more time. And then, of course, Alabama. We've talked about Alabama several times. In Alabama, a federal district court struck down the proposed congressional map for the state, arguing that the new map plainly fails to adhere to the Supreme Court's ruling in June that a second majority Black district be made in the state. We do not take lightly federal intrusion of the process ordinarily reserved for the state legislature, but we have now said twice that this Voting Rights Act case is not close. And we're deeply troubled that the state enacted a map that the state readily admits does not provide the remedy we said federal law requires. For them to go ahead and try segregating these people because of the color of their skin is in that own racist. It's racist. Why would you need to have a full district of majority Black? Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I get it. We need to go ahead and supposedly, a lot of them are waking up. A lot of them are waking up to the situation, and they will vote the correct way. They have the tendency to think that they're, because they're Black, that they're going to go ahead and they're going to vote for Democrats. But over and over again, we've proven that wrong. We've seen it. We've watched it. We've seen so many people waking up to the situation and calling it for what it is. And when this backfires on them for continuously going over and over again, calling this out for what it is, trying to segregate and separate areas and regions into what they believe is going to be a predominantly majority Black district, just maybe in itself a little bit racist. Just a little bit. This is actually kind of funny. Mike Lindell snapping at lumpy pillows. his snap is great. I'm concerned with playing the actual video where he snaps, as they speak of Dominion and things going on with that. So I don't really want to get yeeted from YouTube. We're just going to kind of look at this statement here. It says, well, it seems likely a judge and jury will be ones deciding that, because neither Coomer nor Lindell wants to settle quietly. As evidenced by an interaction with Coomer's attorneys, decided it was perfectly decorous to talk about Lindell's lumpy pillows during one of the contentious depositions. During the deposition, the counsel asked Lindell about what happens when he fields lumpy pillow calls. No, they're not lumpy pillows. That's not what they call them. He seriously He yells. He snaps because he knows damn well that his pillows are not lumpy. He knows damn well. When you say lumpy pillows, now you're an asshole. You got that? You're an asshole, is what you are. And he really seriously, he's not lying. He's not lying when he goes out and he snaps at them and calls them out for what it is. I don't know. I use my pillow and I don't have a problem. I had my pillows way back before any of this ever became a thing. Before Trump was even thought of, before any of that. Because why? Because I'm from Minnesota. Why wouldn't I have pillows that were made in Minnesota? Lindell's attorney tried to interrupt the client, but the My Pillow founder and CEO persisted. No, he's an asshole. He's an ambulance chasing asshole. And that's what you are. Lumpy pillows, kiss my ass. Nobody calls about lumpy pillows. He snaps, just straight out snaps about the situation, as he should. Anybody calling a My Pillow lumpy pillow obviously doesn't know what it is that they're looking at. And there it is again. There's again. Because I thought about, potentially going through it and talking about it, but at the same time, it kind of, it really, I'm not going to talk about that. That was the difference between Joe Biden. It should have been a couple articles ahead, obviously. They're not lumpy pillows. That's too funny. I know. It's just hilarious how he seriously snaps, yells at them, calls them assholes, calls them ambulance chasing assholes for going ahead and calling him out for just that. It's freaking hilarious. Liberty Safe scandal. It's a big deal. It is a big deal. It's something that needs time. It needs time to be gone over, and I don't think that I can do it the justice tonight. So I'm going to leave it marked, and I'm going to stick it in the back. There'll be something that will reach, and hopefully be able to talk about tomorrow. This is something that kind of goes along with that. So then Arizona Democrats' reaction to New Mexico gun order shows they may have ideas too. It kind of goes along with all that. It's really something where several articles, lead into a larger story. And I don't want to do it the disservice. I want to actually do a good job at that, and give you a good story for what it is. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis seemingly shaded by actress Christina Ricci for Danny Masterson's support. As far as that goes, Danny Masterson got 30 years to life for both charges for raping two women. He got what he deserved. He got what he deserved. For Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis to go ahead and try talking him out of it, like they were going to have anything to do with talking him out of it in any way, shape, or form, for something that happened in a better part of 20 years ago, is ridiculous to think that would be something that would work. It says actors Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were lambasted in court in public opinion after character statements they had written about the former That 70s Show co-star and now convicted rapist Danny Masterson was released. The married couple issued an apology, sharing that they never intended to re-traumatize victims and were speaking on behalf of their friend whom they have known for 25 years. Now, actress Christina Ricci is seemingly adding to gasoline to the fire, calling out those that support predators and abusers because of previous reputations they may have held. So, sometimes people who have loved and admired do horrible things. They might not do these things to us, and we only know who they were to us, but that doesn't mean they didn't do the horrible things, and is discredited and abused is a crime. The Wednesday actress wrote in commentary posted on her Instagram stories. People we know as awesome guys can be predators and abusers. It's tough to accept, but we have to. If we say we support victims, women, children, men, and boys, then we must be able to take this stance, she added. Unfortunately, I've known lots of awesome guys who are lovely to me who have been proven to be abusers privately. I've also had personal experiences with this. Believe victims, it's not easy to come forward. It's not easy to get a conviction. Representative Ricci did not immediately return Fox News Digital request for comment. Masterson is sentenced to 30 years to life in prison on September 7th after being convicted on 2 of 3 counts of rape in Los Angeles jury in May, after a previous trial ended in a mistrial. After the sentencing, character letters written by Kutcher and Kunis on behalf of Masterson were released, enraging fans and prompting the couple to issue a statement apologizing for the pain they may have caused. We are aware of the pain that has been caused by character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson, Kutcher said solemnly in the video shared on social media. Seated next to him was Kunis, who continued, "We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future. A couple of months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person, and we knew for 25 years so the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing. The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of judicial system and validity of the jury's ruling. They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that, and we're sorry if this has taken place. We want to keep our jobs. We want to still be employable. Please, please don't take this the way we presented it. Take it this way that we're now trying to present it as. Aha, okay. Our heart goes out to the very single person who's ever been victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape. Kunis concluded comments in the Disabled Post. In their character statements obtained by Fox News, both Kutcher and Kunis applauded Masterson as a drug-free lifestyle. Kunis qualified Masterson as an outstanding older brother figure. As a role model, Danny is consistently been an excellent one. I attribute not falling into a Hollywood life of drugs directly to Danny. Anytime that we were to meet someone or interact with someone who was on drugs or did drugs, he made it clear that he wouldn't be a good person to be friends with. One of the most remarkable aspects of Danny's character is his unwavering commitment to discouraging the use of drugs. His influence on me in his regard has been invaluable. During Masterson's retrial, the actor is accused of drugging and raping 3 different women. Representative of Kutcher and Kunis did not immediately return Fox News Digital request for comment. So then, as far as it goes, Danny Masterson, potentially doing just this, getting charged with it, getting the full charge of 30 years or sentence of 30 years to life. And when it comes down to it, you get what's coming to you when you do stupid things. I believe that he did the stupid thing, and he should be brought up on the charges that he was. And for Kunis and Kutcher to try backing him, in saying that he's actually an upstanding person, and he was always against drugs, doesn't mean that he wouldn't take and know what certain things would do and use them for his advantage. He's been found guilty of these particular charges, and I don't think that that he should be looked at as being a good person. For these two to think that they can go ahead and release this information to keep their jobs, to be employable still. I mean, I guess continue to do what you need to do, but I don't think what you did is necessarily correct either, and maybe shouldn't be employable because you backed maybe the wrong person when it came down to it. I really kind of beside myself on that particular situation, and not sure how I really feel about people sticking up for some piece of shit that goes ahead and it goes and grapes people. I don't like it. You're a rude piece of shit, paranoid boy. A boy? Excuse me, I'm a 46-year-old man. Go fuck yourself. It's my channel, not his. It's never been. It's mine. This is my channel. You don't like it? I don't care. Go away. Go flip yourself off. Ignorant ass. So then the terrorist that was running around England had been captured. He was found riding on his bicycle, or a bicycle for what it is. So he is no longer out on the lam. He's been caught and brought in off of a 4-day manhunt that has concluded with him being captured. Good for him, or good for them for being able to do their job correctly to bring this person in. Unlike us here in the United States, it's 9 days after escape. It's now been 11 days after escape, if I'm not mistaken. Danilo Cavalcante spotted with a new look driving stolen van 9 days after his escape. Convicted killer Danilo Cavalcante has been spotted clean-shaven and operating a stolen van near Pennsylvania town, where more than a week after he escaped from Chester County Prison. Cavalcante has seen Saturday night in a home surveillance camera near Phoenixville in northern Chester County, Pennsylvania, the state police said. The area is over 20 miles north of the search zone that officials set up to squeeze the prison escapee. In images, Cavalcante was wearing yellow and green hooded sweatshirt, black baseball cap, green prison pants, and white shoes. Cavalcante is also operating a white Ford Transit van with Pennsylvania plates. The van is a refrigeration unit on the roof, according to police, and was reported stolen by Bailey's Dairy. Police said that the update on Sunday afternoon that investigative leads indicate Cavalcante is no longer a Phoenixville area. Authorities did not immediately provide details about which direction Cavalcante is believed to be traveling. Cavalcante is previously spotted on Friday just north of Longwood Gardens in Kennett Square, where he is caught on trail camera. Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens of the Pennsylvania State Police said that the believes that the escapee is becoming more desperate. As you can see, he shows up on ring cam, fully shaven, and ready to continue evading the police for what it is. I believe he has always been very dangerous, and I've said that from the start. He's already murdered 2 people, one in Brazil and one here in very brutal manner. He is a very dangerous individual, and he remains so. Cavalcante is convicted for murdering his ex-girlfriend in 2021 and sentenced to life in prison. He's originally from Brazil, where he's also wanted for homicide and allegedly the United States illegally. Cavalcante has escaped from a Chester County prison in the morning of August 31st. Cavalcante was seen in surveillance video crab walking a wall in an exercise yard. He then went on to push through razor wire, run across the roof, scale over a fence, and pushed through more razor wire before leaving the prison. Very interesting how he was able to scale the wall and do all that through the razor wire and make himself across and traverse the roof and not be seen, to be able to escape is amazing. Is amazing because he's only been there for a week. This guy that you see here stands guard as he goes and scales the wall. I'm assuming this guy here most likely is going to be brought up on some kind of charge of helping him, get away. Fox News Digital confirmed on Friday that the prison guard assigned from Watchtower at the time of Cavalcante's escape was fired on Thursday. Phoenixville, where Cavalcante was last spotted, is about 13 miles northeast of Chester County Prison. He's still on the loose. He's still on the loose. He's out there somewhere, and nobody knows where he exactly is. If he's, they're assuming that he's somewhere, but after spending the millions and millions of dollars that they've spent, wasted their time trying to set up a parameter that he had broke through. It really seriously seems like there's something more to this particular case than is. Cavalcante steals a van from a green hoodie in Bailey's. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let's show the screen. So you can kind of see here there's a 5 hours ago map developments in the search of Danilo Cavalcante. Saturday evening, Cavalcante steals a van, a green hoodie from Bailey's Dairy near Longwood. 9:52 p.m. Saturday, Cavalcante travels to the home of a former co-worker. Speaking to the co-worker, he was away at dinner through a video doorbell. The co-worker does not respond to the request of Cavalcante to meet him. The co-worker reviews the doorbell recording after returning home and contacts local police. Cavalcante appears in residence of another former co-worker in Phoenixville area who wasn't home. Another resident of the present during Cavalcante's visit calls a friend who notifies police. Authorities discover that Cavalcante is driving a white vehicle. This is at 10:07 p.m. So a very short time later, he's looking for somebody to help him. He's looking for somebody to help him continue to evade and escape. The Pennsylvania State Police had notified the sighting of Cavalcante in East Pikeland in the earlier evening. The first incident of Cavalcante was elude the search of perimeter around Longwood Gardens. That's at 12:30. So a couple of hours later, he's spotted again. A couple hours after that, images of a doorbell video in East Pikeland is provided to the state and local authorities, which they can see that he's actually clean shaven. He's changed his look on purpose to be able to continue to evade. 5:20 a.m., about 3 hours later, authorities discover a theft of the van at the dairy farm. State, local, and national law enforcement are notified. Now it's national. Now they're actually thinking that he's no longer in that area, that he's evaded and gone even further. The abandoned van is recovered in the field behind the barn in East Netmeal at 10:40 a.m. So about 5 hours later, the van is abandoned. He's no longer using the van. He's now out evading back on foot. This is an ongoing. So you can see that they actually have the van, and they're going to continue to go ahead and try searching for this person, using all the resources they possibly can. If they would calm down for a few minutes and stop spending so much damn money to set up a parameter, they might actually have a better chance of catching the guy, as he won't be so scared and running as they might think that he's gotten away with something, and he would slow down just a little bit. There's a level of ignorance that comes from the police as they continue to go after this very dangerous man for what it is. So that's something that the United States has had issues with over and over again when it comes to people evading. They have a problem finding them and obtaining them for any reason whatsoever. I'm going to close a couple of these because of the time frame. And some of these I'd like to talk about, so they're going to stay. We might cover them tomorrow. I do want to try to get into. Yeah, see, some of this is just unnecessary. It was stuff that I thought would be fun to talk about. I don't even know if they'll even come up ever again. We'll see. We'll see. Um, we did bring this up earlier. So there you go. The estimated 300,000 impacted by earthquake in Morocco, with at least 2,000 dead. It's a sad, disturbing instance of a 3.9 magnitude aftershock that rattled Moroccans on Sunday. 3.9 is fairly small. That was the aftershock. Here's the initial at 6.8. So taking an estimated 300,000 people and affecting them is a very large number in itself, and hopefully everybody that isn't deceased in this situation will overcome this particular issue that they're dealing with. I know I'm kind of kicking this over real quick because we're going to make ourselves over to Morocco. Is otherwise a beautiful place. I heard you talking with Debbie earlier about Morocco, and you both said that it is a very, very beautiful place in a wonderful destination for what it is. It's sad that it's been destroyed for any amount of earthquake. Kind of sad and disturbing for what it is. We'll cover these last two before we go make ourselves over to Rumble. If you haven't been to Rumble, go ahead and make yourself that way. Make yourself that way as we're going to head there. Here's the link to get over to Rumble. For all of you that are wondering how do I get there, here you go. Just a couple of interesting little tidbits to go away on from the YouTube side. Emory Healthcare scraps Christmas Eve as a paid holiday, replaces it with Juneteenth. Oh, great. Wonderful. Good to know. Good to know that we don't get paid for Christmas. But Juneteenth, that's an important holiday. That's an important holiday that we need to continue to show our ignorance for. Dr. June Lee, the CEO of Emory Healthcare in Atlanta, Georgia, notified employees that the company would no longer offer holiday pay for Christmas Eve because it is adding Juneteenth to the holiday calendar starting in 2024. They couldn't just give them another day. They had to take one away to give them another one. Makes sense. In a statement, Lee said the executive leadership team decided to make Juneteenth an observed holiday. However, he added that to minimize impact to patient care, he will not be adding another paid holiday to our calendar. Instead, we will remove Christmas Eve from our holiday calendar and replace it with Juneteenth. Ignorance at its best. As we speak of ignorance at its best, here we go. Minnesota seeks unifying symbol to replace the state flag considered offensive to Native Americans. As if you look at the original Minnesota flag, you can see there's people plowing the fields. He's got a nice little shotgun and his hatchet. As in American Indian goes ahead and rides across the field on horseback. Yes. very, very racist in itself. State Commission went to work Tuesday to design a new state flag in the seal of Minnesota to replace the current emblem. In both, that's considered offensive in Native Americans. One of the main elements of Minnesota state flag includes a prominent state seal against the blue background. The seal depicts a Native American riding off into the sunset while a white settler plows his field and his rifle leaning on a nearby stump. The imagery suggests that many of the indigenous people were defeated in going away while whites won and were staying. Not only do the state's Dakota and Ojibwe tribes consider that offensive, but experts in the scientific and scholarly study of flags, known as vexillology, say it's an overly complicated design. Guidelines for the North American Vexillological Association say flags should be simple but meaningful, with those of few color, easily recognizable from a distance, and without seals or letters. The association ranking Minnesota in 67th place out of 72 U.S. and Canadian state and provincial flags. Minnesota's design from 1957, the evolution from 1893. Original. Minnesota is joining several other states in redesigning flags that haven't withstood the test of time. The Utah legislation last winter approved a simplified flag designed to still include a beehive, a symbol of prosperity, and industrious and Mormon pioneers have settled the state. Mississippi voters in 2020 chose a new state flag with a magnolia in the phrase "In God We Trust" to replace the Confederate-themed flag that had been used by the Ku Klux Klan groups as widely condemned as racist. Other states considered simplify the flag included Maine, where voters will decide next year whether to replace the current banner with retro version featuring a simple pine tree and a blue North Star, as well as Michigan and Illinois. The Democratic-controlled Minnesota legislature earlier in the year tasked its commission, which includes representatives of the state's tribal and other communities of color, with producing new designs for the flag and the seal by January 1. Unless the legislature rejects them, the new emblem will automatically become official on April 1 of 2024, which Minnesota observes as Statehood Day. Perfect. Get it done. Push it through. Let's make it a new flag. For whatever reason, the ignorance that is been pushed as being racist over and over again prevails. It's so great to see how stupid we can be. There's Aaron. I was waiting for that fellow Minnesotan to come ahead and yep, face palm right on front of it, because you're just like, what the fuck? Why would you do this? Oh, okay, because racism. Steve Jaskowski of Mazeppa says, I know that there's many Minnesotans that think we need a new flag, and there's many that don't. Obviously, the decision is made. We're going to have a new flag. And so my goal going forward is that we have a flag that doesn't represent one idea or one ideology or one anything, but represents all of Minnesota. Okay. Yeah. Let's see when this happens. When this happens here in the next few months, because this is supposed to be done by the 1st of January, so that way it can be implemented on the 1st of April. We'll see how inclusive this particular flag does become. I'm excited. I'm so super excited. Again, if you haven't made yourself over to Rumble, you might want to make yourself over there. We're going to actually talk about some Koof for what it is kind of important and necessary to talk about. Um, come join me. Come join me as we make ourselves over there. I appreciate you all so much over here on this YouTube side. If you haven't done so, hit that like button, share this out to those places you like to share things, and come join us. Come join us. We'll be there in a short moment. Be there in a short moment.
People aren't buying at CNN, you dumb bastards. They're not buying it.